Everyone, welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 8, Episode 44, DJI status. The clock is ticking. Hope everyone is doing well. Forgive me in advance, and I want to let you guys know, and don't be grossed out here, but yeah, I'm missing, back here, my arch broke yesterday. Yeah, and that's what happens when you get temporaries. They're made using a 3D printer, okay? Now, the permanence, and what's ironic about this is tomorrow I go for my fitting, and then what they do is they fit it to make sure the permanent will work. And I think they're made out of zirconium, so they're pretty much indestructible. These, however, the technician was very surprised that I've had these for months and they haven't broken, but that happens. I mean, I was eating a potato chip. Okay. It's not like I was doing corn on the cob or ribs or an apple or something, nothing like that. But forgive me in advance if I may lisp or whatever. I just want to let you guys know that in advance. So just to let you guys know, that's where I'm coming from. But I have an appointment tomorrow morning. They're going to fit me for that. And the good news is I went in yesterday and the technician took the Dremel tool or whatever they call it and smoothed it out, but it's been really difficult talking today because my tongue hits it all the time, and it's not really that sharp, not sharp as it was yesterday, but it's there. It's really noticeable, and I kind of had to revert back to kind of like not really eating very difficult things today, and that was just it was. I'm looking forward. How often do you say you're looking forward to going to the dentist's office? So that's me. But anyway, let's see who all is here. We got a full house tonight. Akarasha, Warren, Cocation, welcome. Good, thanks guys for stopping by. Let's see who else. Johnny's here, Johnny Okie, RJ Redding, DD Fellows, Sergeant Rock. Welcome, Sergeant Rock. Haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for stopping by. Waypoint New England, welcome, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Danny Kennedy, welcome. Let's see who else is here. Zach, welcome. Good to see you. John Flynn, welcome, John. John, CT Pirate, welcome. Let's see who else we got. Okay. Art, welcome. Let's see. Wow, we got a full house here tonight. Drone Angles, welcome. Good to see you. Casey Crime Fighter, welcome. Let's see who else. Lynn Smith, welcome. CT Pirate, okay. Sergeant Rock. Let's see who else. Okay, yeah, I think I covered you all. Good seeing everybody tonight. Thank you for stopping by. I really want to thank last week Johnny Drone Flyer and Captain Ray for filling in for Ron. You guys did 2 thumbs up. Everybody really liked the episode, and nothing can ever really replace Mr. Ron Brown, and he'll be joining me here in a few minutes. But Ron had a doctor's appointment in Philadelphia. It was a long day for him, and he wasn't able to make it, but he will be here tonight. And I hope you guys caught my special guest appearance on Drone Nation last night. Always a pleasure and a blast and a total lots of fun. And they have the best off-screen food like you wouldn't believe. Okay, Ron spares no expenses, and I'm sure Marcus does as well, along with DeMarco. So anyway, those guys are great. It was awesome to be on the show. Had lots of good stuff. Yeah, I did see that, Art. I did see that. That was incredible. And Jay Bird, I'm very sorry about your Bengals. I didn't mean to laugh about them, but I did on Sunday. That was just, we got Steeler Nation coming up right at the top of the hour for about 5 or 10 minutes. Ron and I will be talking football. So Gator Drone, welcome. So you guys are welcome to stay for that. Just want to kind of want to preempt that here. Okay. I'm going to start this off here with a commentary before we kind of really dive into some things. Of course, we got the status talk coming up near the end. I'm going to talk about the Neo 2 and the Action 6 and all that. But one of the things that's really getting me right now, and I mentioned this last night when I was on Drone Nation, and it's really gotten under my skin. Now, it's not, and I can say this with pretty much certainty, it's not the guys that we watch, okay? You guys in the chat, okay? It's not Ron, it's not Johnny, it's not Marcus, any of the guys that we normally watch, Bill Thomas. It's not any of these guys, okay? People who have some semblance of a technology channel are going out there and saying, DJI drones are banned, okay? That's the long and the short of it. And 100% clickbait, and it's working for them. And they're getting hundreds, if not thousands of views on these videos. And they're telling you what I've been telling you, okay? But they're doing 100% clickbait. And, you know, they elongate it out, and then at the end, they tell you what the real story is. Guys, if you see them, do yourself a favor, okay? Go out there, comment on them if you want, okay? I'm just telling you, I did several, and I, you know, very politely said, you know, look, that is not the truth, okay? There's nothing is going to be decided till December 23rd. So there is no ban currently on DJI drones right now, period. All right. So don't make something out to be that it's not, okay? It's not there. So I had to say that. It just has gotten under my skin because I know all you guys, okay? I know you guys, okay? None of you guys would go out there and do clickbait stuff. We want to get facts out to everybody, okay, about what's going on. And the long and the short of it is there's no ban right now, all right? We've been talking a lot about stuff, but there is no ban right now. Well, the Uyghurs are preventing drones from coming in the United States. That's not a ban, okay? That's not a ban, okay? We can still get them. They're still, you know, and you know, oh, but what about the FCC? And we're going to talk about that here coming up. But I really wanted to spend a couple of minutes and talk about that because it's just like, it's driving me nuts. Absolutely, positively driving me nuts. Exactly, co-vacation. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. It's just, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Richard, I agree. Absolutely. Ignore them. Yeah. And I do for the most part. It's just like, good Lord, man, leading people astray. That just, yeah. Okay, I was on my soapbox. I was absolutely on my soapbox. Yeah. And Richard was right. I should probably have ignored them. They got under my skin. And exactly, Cozy Drone. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Oh, wow, Alvin, I didn't know that. Well, she's Florida Panthers Den. I'm out on X. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I have a podcast. I have a Facebook group called Florida Panthers Den. Tell her to look for that. Okay. Go Cats, go. And I know my other buddy here, Alex Escardo and Joseph. Got several Florida Panthers fans on the broadcast here. So yeah, we're doing that. And it's going to be late night this week. I got the caffeine ready going. They're on the West Coast. So game started 10 o'clock. Oh, goody. I'm going to have a great day at work tomorrow. Yeah. So, all right. Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I do too, Jamie. I really do. I really do. Yeah, you know, Casey Crime Fighter. Yeah, I need to take a step back and just. But I want to make you guys aware. There's a lot of them out there, and you know, on second thought, instead of responding to them, that's what they want. Don't respond to them, and just ignore them. And if somebody like would post one of these videos in my groups, okay, I'll delete the video, okay? And it's no indifference to, you know, the persons that are forwarding the video on. They don't really know. So, all right. We're gonna start off with some good news, okay? And the more I found out about it, the more it's like, this is going to be really cool here. DJI confirms November 18th Osmo Action 6 launch. Last 3 words, with U.S. market access, or last 4 words. Okay. That's incredible, guys. And if you've seen anything, okay, it's called Square Up, Nail to Move. And you can see the picture of the lens here, 18 November 2025. DJI posted teaser images across social media channels today announcing a November 18, 2025 product launch event at 12 p.m. GMT. And notably, the company has created a dedicated U.S. landing page for the announcement. The teaser, titled Square Up, Nail to Move, shows what appears to be a square-shaped action camera, strongly indicating the upcoming DJI Osmo Action 6. What the teaser reveals. The promotional image released on DJI's YouTube and X channels shows a sleek, square profile camera body with what appears to be a distinctive front-facing screen that has become a hallmark of the Osmo Action series. The tagline, Square Up, Nail to Move, suggests the Action 6 will emphasize its rugged, squared-off form factor while targeting action sports creators and adventurous filmmakers. DJI directs users to the official pre-launch page, which displays the event date and allows interested customers to sign up for notifications. The November 18th date falls on a Tuesday, consistent with DJI's typical product launch schedule. So that's 2 weeks from today, all right? Leak specs, 1 over 1.1 inch CMOS sensor, larger than the Action 5 Pros. Variable aperture lens ranging from f2.0 to f4.0, nearly unprecedented action camera segment. 8K video recording at 30 frames per second, dual OLED displays front and rear, 1950 milliamp hour battery for extended price recording times. And this one, if this is true, $329 is an entry level on this camera. That's absolute positive insanity, okay? U.S. market availability, the key difference. The presence of a dedicated U.S. landing page for the Osmo Action 6 launch stands in sharp contrast to DJI's recent handling of flagship drone products. Both the Mini 5 Pro and Mavic 4 Pro launched without official U.S. availability, forcing American pilots to source drones through Canadian retailers, third-party sellers, or gray market channels. Action cameras don't face the same regulatory scrutiny as drones, while DJI's unmanned aircraft systems fall under Federal Communications Commission equipment authorization requirements and face potential restrictions in the National Defense Authorization Act. Consumer electronics, like cameras, navigate through a different regulatory pathway. Okay, this allows DJI to maintain U.S. presence in the imaging products category, including the Osmo Action series, Osmo Pocket gimbals, and Osmo mobile stabilizers, even as the company faces mounting pressure on the drone side of the business. What this doesn't mean for drones, it's crucial to understand that Osmo Action 6 availability in the United States does not signal a return of DJI drones to the American market. The two product categories operate under entirely different regulatory frameworks, okay? Competition in the action cam market. DJI drones, and we all know about December 23rd, what's coming up there. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. As of early November, no federal agency confirmed they're conducting the required assessment. Again, talk about that. Osmo Action 6. There's a picture of the Action 5, which I do have. Drone XL's take. The Osmo Action 6 teaser raises an interesting question about DJI's U.S. market strategy. December 23rd FCC deadline approaches. By maintaining robust support for its imaging products, action cameras, gimbals, handheld stabilizers, DJI signals it's not conceding the American market, even if drone sales face severe restrictions. Okay. And there's more of this article. And again, as always, these are always out on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group. And I did have time to get it out to the Facebook page as well today too. And here's Ron. Ron, Action 6 camera availability in the United States. Wow.
Again, we talked last time. We don't know if it's got FCC approval. So if it didn't, that I don't know how that would deter the South Korean and Japan sellers from selling it through eBay.
Okay, this article on Drone XL, and let me pull it back up for you. Talks about that and says it goes through a different regulatory agency. Let me find that part right up here. Okay. Action cameras don't face the same regulatory scrutiny as drones, while DJI's unmanned aircraft systems fall under FCC equipment authorization requirements and face potential restrictions tied to National Defense Authorization Act. Consumer electronics, like action cameras, navigate a different regulatory pathway. This allows DJI to maintain its U.S. presence in the imaging products category, including the Osmo Action series, Osmo Pocket gimbals, and Osmo mobile stabilizers, even as the company faces mounting pressure on the drone side of its business. So that's good news, Ron. That's
Well, I
really
mean,
good
that
news.
is good news, Bill, but that does explain why, like the say the Nano, the most recent camera from DJI, the little Nano camera, that wasn't sold through DJI's website, normal channels. Even on Amazon, it's only sold by third-party sellers. So if that's true, Bill, why was the Nano almost like a drone release?
Well, there's an article that I have coming up that we're going to talk about. There's been some relaxation of things going on with China, and I want to get to that here in a minute. Okay. I don't want to leapfrog the Neo 2. So we're going to talk about the Neo 2. Then we'll talk about that, because I think I may be able to answer your question with that here. Okay. Now, there is some updated information on the Neo 2, and one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and talk about with the Neo 2, the first thing is, if you go out to eBay, you can see out there props, batteries, the video transmission module, battery holder, charger. They're all available on eBay right now for the Neo 2. I can't find the Neo 2 out there, but I can find all of those items available from Chinese sellers without tariffs. So if you're so inclined and you want to get these accessories before you get the Neo 2, go for it, okay? Because as you know, from China, it takes about 10 days to 2 weeks to get stuff. I mean, through normal channels, as long as everything's shipping normally. So first of all, that's the first thing that I wanted to say about that. Now, there's a great article here on the Neo itself on Drone DJ, and I wanted to go ahead and just touch on this, and then we're going to touch on another article about this too. 151 grams of Neo 2 is barely heavier than the original Neo. It has LiDAR, creating a 360-degree awareness bubble around the drone. That means if you fly too close to a wall, tree, or pole, the Neo 2 will automatically slow down and stop before impact. It's really kind of a article, really boisters all the facts and everything. We've kind of gone over all that. There's also 49 gigabytes of built-in storage, up from 16 gigabytes before, so you can record plenty of 4K footage without worrying about memory cards. And transferring those clips is faster now too, with Wi-Fi speeds up to 80 mbps. Okay, one of the more practical upgrades in Neo 2's new 1606 milliamp hour battery. It offers up to 19 minutes of flight time, which technically is only a minute longer than before, but it packs in more reliable power management system that maintains consistent performance. DJI also added dual mode charging, which can juice up 3 batteries at once, which is real nice. Okay,
like the Mini 5. Okay.
Like the Mini 5. Customs officials have been detaining certain DJI shipments since late 2024 under the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, despite DJI insisting its products are made in Shenzhen in Malaysia, not Zhejiang. On top of that, FCC recently voted to expand its covered list rule, which could retroactively ban products from companies flagged as security risks. Okay. And again, this article is posted out on Build a Drone Facebook group. Okay. We talked about the original Neo is priced at $159 right now. Neo 3 battery combo is $229. Neo Fly More combo is $279. Okay. And then the next thing I want to talk about, there is another article here as well too. And the DJI Fly app has gotten updated. And with that Fly app, the Fly app, of course, it includes support now for the Neo 2. And it says smart new tricks as well. Version 1.19.0 officially adds support for DJI Neo 2, connecting seamlessly with RC-N2, RC-N3, and RC2 controllers, or even letting users fly via Wi-Fi directly from their phones. No remote needed, but that's just the start. The update introduces a suite of intelligent flight functions tailored for Neo 2, including selfie shot, capture selfies from multiple angles with a single tap, gesture controls, extend your palm to recall the drone or adjust its position midair, customizable mode sets, experiment with creative presets like master shots or cycle following for dynamic footage, freer active track, switch tracking directions on the fly, give creators more flexibility in framing. DJI also mentions improved voice recognition signaling a continued focus on making drones more responsive to natural commands.
No, I just want to slow you down and just so people know, and all that should be available without a controller.
Right. Absolutely, Ron. Thank you for bringing that up here. And then there's more to read on this. Ron, I from what I understand too, and I think I mentioned this last night on Drone Nation, I think it's going to start being available over in Europe and the UK and Southeast Asia and other markets besides China on November the 8th, which is later this week. So
well,
I would say
this morning I got my emails from like Banggood and AliExpress, and they're already letting you order it. I guess you could consider that a pre-order, and with shipping coming in the arrival date supposedly, the later part of November. So you could order now from those Asian sites right now and be on the list to get it by the end of the month. But my advice would be, I mean, Johnny already ordered, but you may be able to, if you wait a little bit more, the eBayers may be able to get it to you faster than those big guys.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would suggest for everybody to do because, while Banggood and AliExpress are, especially, their shipping has gotten a lot better lately because it used to be a few years ago kind of a little on the hanky side, but it's better now. Wait for eBay and see what's coming up there. You may be able to get a little bit better pricing and you may be able to get a little bit better shipping because a lot of those places will actually use FedEx. FedEx does ship out of China. So that's something to consider. And that's one of the things that I wanted to mention to you guys. I would kind of sit back and wait a week or so.
Johnny had a bunch of coupons, so he thought he got a good deal. So a lot of people have a bunch of coupons from those sites that help them bring the price down.
AliExpress and Banggood. Yeah, you can usually, if you buy off of them in quantity, you can get some good discounts on them. So that's good. I'm happy for Johnny. I'm absolutely happy. I actually ordered a Mavic 4 Pro battery from AliExpress for $199. Okay, which was great. That was a great price because normally they're like $249, but it's an OEM. And that's where I think Michael Wright, if you're in the chat, he's the one that gave me the link for that too. And I ordered from them and it's already on its way. So.
I think, I don't know if Lou's in here tonight, Drone Angels. I think he ordered, I forget where he ordered. He ordered a Mavic 4 and maybe like a Air 3 battery. I think he got his cheaper than you did, Bill.
Really?
From someplace like that. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds really.
To your
really
point,
good.
There's deals out there. You got to smoke them out, right, Bill? They're not just
you got it. You got to
come to your inbox. You got to hunt them out.
And one of the other things that you need to do, and I keep harping on this, and I know people are probably going to get sick of me saying this, but you really need to vet these sellers. Okay, even if we tell you we bought off of them. Okay, for instance, I'm having a little to do with my seller that I got the Mavic 4 Pro from. Because, Ron, that little black box that had all the adapters inside the Mavic 4 Pro?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine was open and it was torn open. All right. Which was really surprising to me. And the way it was shrink wrap, but the shrink wrap appeared to be a little bit different. So I've sent them pictures of all that. And I'm kind of asking them, what's going on here, guys? I mean, did somebody go in, take this out and then reseal the box? I mean, and now it may have been unbeknownst to them as well, too. It may have been whoever sold them the Mavic 4 Pro Creator Combo may have done that. So they're checking things out and they told me they're going to get back to me. So I told them at the very least, I'd like some kind of an adjustment because that meant it had been open. Now the Mavic 4 Pro and the controller and everything, batteries are working fine. There's no issue with that. So, but what I did on my own, one of the other things that I did, I got a second 240 watt charger with a US cable on it. I found an eBay seller that sold that. I was real fastidious about finding a second one. And I'm going to be putting out a video about the accessories I bought and why. So that all that kind of stuff is coming up here. Now, the rest of the show.
Bill's almost talking for a second. Lou just replied, Drone Angels, Mavic 4 Pro battery on AliExpress, $179.
Okay.
But if again, like these deals come and go. Like if you go today, it may not be that price.
Right. So you got to be on the spot with these deals. Thank you, Lou, for pointing that out. Now tonight's episode, we're calling it the clock is ticking because it kind of is ticking here. Okay. December, we flipped a new month on the calendar. It's now November. You know, and pretty soon it'll be November 23rd, and we'll be a month away from that. And, you know, just I wanted to, there were a few articles that I wanted to go over. Now, one of the first ones that I wanted to go over here, which was really interesting, and I found it on Drone XL. And, you know, I did know, and again, you know, we're not talking politics here, okay? Trump met with Z over in China, okay? And Trump Z Truth pauses business 50% affiliates rule, but DJI still faces December 23rd FCC deadline, okay? What exactly was paused? In late September, the Commerce Department, Bureau of Industry and Security issued an interim final rule applying an OFAC-style 50% rule to the entity list and MEU list. Subsidiaries greater than or less than 50% owned by listed parties will be treated as listed, closing a common circumvention route. Okay, all right. After the Busan meeting, the U.S. suspended that expansion for 1 year as part of a broader package, according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and multiple outlets, including Reuters. Former officials noted the pause could blunt the rule's reach, which analysts said might otherwise expand coverage from roughly 1,300 to 20,000 plus entities. All right. What else is in the package? Tariffs. The U.S. is trimming China tariffs by roughly 10% points alongside fentanyl-related commitments and a pause certain on rare earth mineral restrictions. Soybeans. China will buy 12 million metric tons this season and 25 million metric tons per year for the next 3 years. Rare earths. China will pause its latest rare earth export curve for 1 year as part of the truce. Okay. December 23rd deadline still looms. Okay. The fiscal year NDAA creates a 1 year window for an appropriate national security agency to make a determination, and that's coming up December 23rd. And we all know about that. What the FCC just changed on October 29th, the FCC unanimously approved an order closing loopholes in supply chain rules, including authority to restrict or bar previously authorized equipment associated with covered list entities. The order doesn't name DJI and sets no public retroactive to date. It creates a pathway to act against already authorized devices in certain cases. If DJI were added to the covered list after December 23rd, the immediate clear effects would be no new FCC equipment authorizations and no imports marketing of new radio-based DJI devices. Potential knock-on efforts to firmware updates, repairs, or non-RF software support are unclear. The FCC policies RF authorization, import marketing, not ordinary software support by default. Okay. What the affiliates pause matters to the Shell brand story. The pause BIS rule would have automatically captured subsidiaries of listed firms, a big deal for any alleged proxy networks. Investigations have tracked U.S. brands that appear to use DJI OcuSync compatible radios while avoiding overt corporate ties, raising questions about relabels and white label shells on Amazon. Okay. What it means for U.S. drone pilots, it boils down to this. Short term, the truce reduces near-term risk. The affiliates get swept up in mass, but doesn't change the NDA's December 23rd deadline. Okay. Medium term, with DJI is listed, expect no new FCC approval imports to be prepared for possible FCC actions affecting some previously authorized gear, case specific, not a blanket rule. Procurement planning. Agencies and enterprises refreshing fleets in 2026 should scenario plan now, IG spares, life cycle timing, mixed fleets, while watching for a formal agency determination or deadline extension. Okay, what to watch next? Watch for any sign of a rule of an agency determination from DOD, DHS, FBI, NSA, or ODNI, because if none appears by December 23rd, the statute directs the FCC to add the equipment and services to the covered list. Okay, also monitor FCC's implementation details from new order, especially how and when it might apply to already authorized gear. Okay, and then there's Drone XL's take on this. The truce buys time on affiliates front, but doesn't stop the NDAA clock. Okay, so all that to say, you know, it's kind of slowed things down here a little bit, and I think, Ron, that this probably has they've determined that, okay, even though the Osmo Action 6 and the Pocket 3 use Wi-Fi to do firmware updates, it's not there. It's not like the Wi-Fi or radio communications are controlling the device. Okay. And I think that's where they get DJI gets away with it, with that. Why it didn't apply to the Nano? I'm not sure about that, but I think they probably recently made this determination. That would be a guess on my part. So I think because it doesn't actively, like there's a controller and a unit that is controlling, that's not happening in the case of the action cameras, the nano
so Bill, are you
cameras.
saying that when you when's the Action 6 coming? We saw the date today on the preview. What was that date?
November 18th.
Hey, so you on November 18th, you expect to be able to purchase the Action 6 on DJI's US website?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what that.
Okay. So that'll be a first in a long time, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is.
I think the last time a new product was listed on there was, not counting Enterprise or gimbal or something, I think was the Flip.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Because
it's been a while.
Mavic 4, Mavic 4 wasn't there, Mini 5 wasn't there, the Mic 3 wasn't there, the 360 camera wasn't there, the Nano wasn't there. So this will be a real breakthrough if this is there on the 18th.
And every indication it is, because it has a US landing page. I mean, it's just
the fact that we got you got the little teaser video is
well, this is the first time we've gotten a teaser video in how long? Probably since
somebody
the Flip.
pointed out to me, when's the last time we saw a teaser video this far ahead? DJI is definitely doing things they never did before, Bill, recently. Like, again, putting the teaser out. I mean, today is what, the 4th. Putting a teaser out 14 days ahead of time, that's unheard of from DJI.
That really is. That really is. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to build up some excitement in that. But one of the things that caught me, we kind of talked about it a little bit last night on Drone Nation, but I want to bring it up too, is that they're listing this at $329, Ron, for an Action. I mean, that's kind of unheard of out of the gate for them. Starting out
again, right out of the box is going to be cheaper than the 5 Pro.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that have the 5 Pro like me, it's like if you wanted to sell it for $300, good luck, because the Action 6 is coming out and it's going to be $329. So I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, that's
even if you could sell your Action 5 for $250, it would only be like $70, $80 to get the new one then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that again, strange things are happening. I mean, Bill, are you totally sold on that $329 for the Action 5, or you think that's an early rumor that could shift over the next 14 days?
If it shifts, it's not going to be more than $20 or $30, Ron. I don't think it's going to have like, I don't think you'll see it jump from like $329 to $429. I don't think
at this price point with the specs, the Action 6 is going to kill the market for all the competition for the GoPros and Insta360s and whatever, right?
Oh yeah, people are going to, and I hate to say this, okay, DJI is going to kind of shoot itself in the foot a little bit here, because people looking for the Osmo 360 and also the Nano will probably just say, you know what, I'm just going to get the Action 6.
Yeah, that's going to be cheaper than like the Nano. It's going to be cheaper than the little wearable camera.
Yeah, I mean, because DJI was touting the how inexpensive the Nano was going to be and how portable it was going to be and so forth and everything, and the price point on there, and it's kind of like they're kind of shooting themselves in their foot.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. Like the Nano comes in 2 different memory sizes. The small memory size is under $200, but the bigger size is slightly over. I think it may even be $329. The Nano with the bigger memory. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right, Ron. And the thing, and people need to remember about the Nano is there's really, I mean, it has that built-in memory in it. Okay, unlike the Action 6 doesn't have built-in memory, okay, or the other Action cameras don't. You got to use an SD card for that. So, I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If you like the form factor and everything, go for it. But, this is something that's way too appealing not to take advantage of, Ron, especially number one, it's coming to the United States. And you'll be able, if you want to, obviously get things like Care Refresh and things like that for that, because it's not a drone. So you can go ahead and do that.
Hey, Bill, put under the drones comment up about 5 comments back. Does the Action 6 have a 1-inch sensor? By the rumors that we read from what's his name story, Jasper's story. It's slightly smaller than 1 inch. It's a 1 over 1 point something or whatever, slightly smaller.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put that up here. I had an article from High Kesselou here that had all that information on it. Let me go ahead and bring that up here. Okay.
Yeah, it was Drone XL, but I think it was Jasper's story.
Yeah, it was Jasper's story here.
Yeah, here, John Rockers helped me out. 1.1.
Yeah, 1 over 1.1.
No, 1 over 1.1. Yeah, so slightly smaller.
Yeah, it's slightly smaller here. I mean, you know,
I remember a lot of people claim that all these DJI 1 inch sensors are slightly smaller than 1 inch. Like, you know, they're rounding off to say 1 inch on like the Mini 5 and those or whatever.
They're kind of pushing that, what they call the outer edge of the envelope with that, Ron. I think it was really kind of, there's a real fine line there.
The 360 camera claimed 1 inch, but I think it's also slightly smaller. So, you know.
Yeah.
But folks, don't get all hung up on numbers here. You know.
Yeah, I would not.
Get hung up on how good the video looks.
Exactly here. Exactly with that. And, you know, and we talked about it on Drone Nation last night, and I wanted to kind of touch on it here as well, too. This variable aperture with this, okay, that's coming with this. I mean, it's kind of groundbreaking for an action cam, but as we were talking about last night, if you're snowboarding or if you're riding a motorbike or if you're, you know, skiing or you're doing some kind of action thing, are you going to stop in the middle of that to change your variable aperture and then proceed on?
We got a feature nobody asked for. I would give me the variable aperture of my drones. Like, why don't the Air 3S get a variable aperture? The Mini 5, I want the variable aperture of the drones, not necessarily the action cameras.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to give me a variable aperture and a small camera, give it to me in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, having this it's nice. Don't, you know, we don't look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say.
And you're not charging us for it since it's only $329. So you're giving us a feature without charges for it. So we'll take it, but it's a head scratcher. I don't know how much it's such a niche thing. I don't know how that's going to help sales that much.
Yeah, you know, unless, Ron, the only thing that I was thinking of, and I thought about this after the show last night, is wondering, you know, I thought about Marcus as one of his favorite sayings. He says, DJI will always give you something you didn't know you need until it's released, okay? And maybe, and this is just conjecture on my part, that they're going to come up with some kind of firmware, software update that's going to use that for another feature. I'm just kind of spitballing here, because that's the only thing I could think that of being for. Because as you all know, okay, you know, for me, I'll use it for vlogging. Like when we go up to Ohio, I'm going to use that for vlogging, which is it's a killer for that. It just works perfectly for that. And I also use it for B-roll. You know, when I'm doing, you know, when I'm filming my drone videos. Okay, it works perfect for all of that. Okay,
and remember, adjustable aperture is not a no-brainer. It's not like you can't go wrong. You could actually move it to an aperture that created issues. So you gotta know what you're doing when you're adjusting the aperture. I mean, we all count on our devices to do it automatically for us, but when you have a manual aperture, you know, you can mess things up if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. And you know, one of the things here with this, you know, we always, you know, look at, you know, and the other thing I was prepared for too, before they put the pricing on, you know, DJI was going to say, you know, say like $629 or $529 or something. He's going to say, oh, that's too much, blah, 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 you know. And then all of a sudden they come out and it's $329. And it's like, we're all saying like, what? Here?
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. The Action 5 Pro, when it first released, was it $399 or $449? It was one or the other.
I think it was $449.
Okay. So, I mean, we're talking about $120 decrease in price over one generation.
Yeah. And now there was another article out on Drone XL that I wanted to kind of draw some attention to here. And it's called, Why is DJI Acting Like a Company That Has Nothing to Lose? And what's the strategy? Okay. Sincerely, whether the company has the tech, the R&D, and finance muscle to do this. And if they had the money to sustain the release rate, who else is doing it? Is DJI taking risk and working at this speed because it feels threatened? That could be one reason, or maybe they're just too good at making drones and they can't contain themselves. I remember when they released drones around 2017, and like Nikon, they tried to avoid feature overlapping at all costs. For example, they released a drone that recorded at 4K 60. The cheap version would only record at 30, and it wouldn't have any sensors, or maybe it just didn't shoot raw photos like the first Mini. But then something magical happened. They just started giving us almost everything here, okay? The new motto, the flagship is the Mini. And he's kind of continuing on in this vibe here. But, you know, I kind of want to tie this article to some other things. And I didn't see this in article form. I saw several posts about this, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit about it last night, okay? Some other things are happening here, and I think there's some things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know about with DJI. And remember, I've always said, and I think I mentioned it last night on Drone Nation, you know, DJI is not going to take this lying down, okay? I would say, and I know some people have refuted these numbers, but I have heard up to 2/3 of DJI's business, you know, is from the United States. Now, that's an arguable figure because nobody really knows their finances because they're a private company. But if the supply is shut off from the United States, okay, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, all right? They're not going to take this lying down, okay? And I'm sure they have a legal team, you know, on standby right now to fight all of this, okay? Because this December 23rd date is not going to come and go without them taking some action. I can tell you that right now because there's way too much money on the table here, all right? And I think they're putting all these products out as a fail-safe to make sure they're available to the U.S. market, okay? I think that's part of the reason that they're doing this and that they're rushing a lot of these things so that we can have these products here in case the ban actually hits. But as I've said before, and I know people have kind of dissed this as well, and I kind of want to throw this out there too, all right? What has happened in a lot of instances here with a lot of these countries is that they have decided to bring manufacturing here to the United States, all right? And this is something, and Trump's rewarded them, okay? Like he's eliminated tariffs from a lot of these countries, okay? For example, Ford, instead of building a truck plant down in Mexico, they're going to build one here in the United States. Was it Subaru? I think they're going to be building another plant, probably in Alabama. I know they have one out in Indiana. I heard, well, Nippon Steel, okay? They now own what used to be known as United States Steel, okay? And I just read an article today. They're going to be rebuilding part of the area where I grew up in, some of the mills over there. They're going to completely level it and put new mills in there, okay? So, and they're getting incentives to do this. So, you know, long story short, if DJI decides to go ahead and build here in the United States, they'll probably get a lot of incentives to do something like that. And I know a lot of you talked about and have seen that article by my friend, my ham radio friend, Julian, who posted that blog post about a startup here in Tampa making drones and so forth, okay? So there's a lot of irons in the fire here, and there's a lot of directions that this could go. But, you know, my whole thing is, it ain't, as Yogi Berra used to say, Ron, it ain't over till it's over, okay? And that's one thing I got to say about this. It ain't over till it's over.
And we know TikTok got saved at the final gun, final hour, Bill. So could it happen again?
Yeah, and TikTok is much more. You know, you want to talk about you know, something that was shown to be really detrimental and challenge national security. It was TikTok. Okay, my gosh. All right, and also too, you know, we'll go another step further. You know, iPhones. All right, I know we've talked about that before as well too. You know, the security risk posed with iPhones is tremendous. This computer that the show is coming from, an HP, it came from Shenzhen. All right, you know, ham radios. You know, and I talked about that. You know, they're starting. They named a brand that they're going after, and they're probably going to shut them down, which is fine. Okay. Because they're a communication device. Because and I thought it was going to be most of the cheap ones. And most of the cheap ones are called Baofungs. Okay, you can get them for as little as $35 on Amazon, but you have to have an FCC license like I have to be able to talk on them. You can listen on them, but you can't talk on them. So all this being said, Ron, you know, I think there's still some irons in the fire. I think we haven't seen the end of this. But while I say that, prepare like a hurricane is coming your way. Okay. Stock up on water, on food, on batteries. Okay. If you have a portable generator, stock up on gasoline, these things that you get prepared for. Okay. That's why I've stocked up. I've gotten extra batteries. I've gotten extra propellers. I've gotten extra charging methods as well, too, for all my drones. So, I've kind of covered some bases here. I'm going to shore things up before December 23rd, but I think it's wise advice, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it can't hurt. We didn't talk about the other whatever shoe falling here is the American consumer drones. We still don't have any idea when we'll see our first American consumer drone, right, Bill?
Right.
Or who will build that?
I know our good friend Russ. He talked about, oh yeah, it'll be a year or two out. No, as much as I like Russ, no, it's not going to be a year or two out, because to have something, say, anywhere near the ballpark and quality of DJI, that's going to take 4 or 5 years to get something like that out, because products like that do not happen overnight. All right. Even if you employ, people that made the DJI drones. Okay. There's a lot that gets into that. Okay. And a lot of that too, as we talked about in the one article about rare earth minerals. All right. Because a lot of those are used in production of these drone components. All right. And, as we go back to our friends from Skydio, okay, that everybody seems to want to hate with good reason, probably. Adam is his name. They were getting their batteries from China, mainland China. And they're the ones that are supposedly, one of the driving forces behind all of this. I'm just kind of spitballing and throwing all this stuff out here, guys. If anybody tells you right now, if you see a title of a video that says, I know exactly what's going on, watch my video here, they're full of horse manure. Okay.
Yeah,
no one.
I don't even think the people at the FCC and them even know what's totally going on, let alone somebody else.
Co-vacation. Yeah. I think that's part of this mix. Okay. And I actually had somebody, believe it or not, okay, said, you must be a conspiracy theorist. You must really dive into like JFK assassination kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, if you believe the Warren Commission was the valid reason for why JFK got shot, I can sell you Fountain of Youth maps here in Florida. Okay. That kind of thing. All right. It's just, it's kind of mind-boggling here. Yeah. But there's a lot of forces at work here.
Yeah, I mean, of course, at this thing, if you just followed the money, who's getting paid to put all these laws in place? You could probably, track the money eventually. But also, a guy like your buddy Rick Scott down there in Florida. I mean, he's been governor. He's been senator for a while now. And I never heard drone come out of his mouth until about 2 years ago. So this man's been in the public limelight, never said the word drone once. And all of a sudden, this man's an expert on drones. In fact, an expert on, all the bad things they're doing, the Chinese military. How did a man go from never talking about drones to being an expert overnight, Bill?
Well, a lot of people, and I think except for those of us here in Florida, we know, but our governor, DeSantis, which a lot of people, hit or miss with him, our first responders do not use DJI drones. He banned that. Okay.
Right.
I think he signed in, an executive order or something or other.
He was on the drone bandwagon before Rick Scott was.
Yeah, he was. So first responder organizations don't use DJI products here in Florida. All right. That they've been banned. He was one of the first to do that. And, don't ask me. I'm just like, I know what I know about stuff. And one of the things that I also want to get across to people here before this ban here, all right, it supposedly goes into effect on December 23rd, okay? Have we done everything we can? Probably, okay? I got a form letter back. I emailed Rick Scott, and I got a nice form letter about how China is the United States enemy, and we need to be on guard and diligent against them. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you for your time and your concern. Senator Scott takes it seriously. I'm like, yeah. And what finger went up after I got that. I showed this to Valerie and I said, it went into file 13. Is where that went real fast. But with all this being said, guys, you know what? As we close out shows and as we tell you things, and I know Marcus has said this as well too, and I know Ron has, I know Johnny has, Ray has, all of us, okay? You know what? Nothing's stopping you from going out there, obviously tomorrow morning, and flying your drone, okay? Nothing's stopping me, except I work, from going out tomorrow morning and flying my drone. So, in other words, go out there and enjoy your drones. Go out there and have fun, okay? Nobody's telling you can't fly your drone right now, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And worry about the 23rd when the 23rd gets here.
Exactly.
And they'll have another point too. The 23rd, of course, is a Tuesday. Of course, Christmas Eve's on a Wednesday. Christmas Day is on a Thursday. How many people in the government do you think are actually be working that week to get anything done on the 23rd?
Yeah,
who's going to be working? Who's going to be working Christmas Eve on the drone ban?
The Iceman F-14. Okay, that's a good question here. As far as a drone for surveying, you may want to look at Matrice and Matrice Series 3, an older one. If you can get one, they work real well. Or if you can afford a new Matrice 4 series, they work real well. The Mavic 3 Enterprise will work. But I know the Matrice series, and I say this because this is what my son-in-law does for a living. He does surveying with them, and I know he's used the Matrice 3 series, and it's worked real well for them. And probably you'd want to look at a Matrice 4 if you can afford that. That they're very pricey in terms of that. Just to kind of
he didn't say what his price range was. That's the key to a lot of questions is what's your price range, because people do hobbyists. Richard, who's in the chat here, I saw him early. He does hobbyist surveying of his property in upstate New York, and he does it with off the shelf mini drones running third party software.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I mean, it all depends on who's hiring to do this survey and what they require.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And co-vacation. Yeah, you're right. It is tomorrow, but you know what? You're welcome, Iceman. No problem. No problem there. There he is.
Marcus.
Ron, there's so much doom and gloom that is being preached right now about this. And you know what? Doom and gloom is when you receive some bad news, okay? And number one, some things that my parents taught me throughout life. Number one, you woke up today, you're blessed, because a lot of people didn't wake up today. All right. And it's a day for you to use and do what you would. Of course, a lot, Valerie and I still work and everything. But on top of that, go out, and there are people that are hurting in this world. So go out and spread a kind word. Okay. Give some encouragement to people. Always do that. Always be encouraging to people. I mean, that's another thing that my parents taught me to do. And my mom was really big on this one. Never mention the word hate. Okay. That wasn't in my vocabulary. And I'll tell you what, I would cuss. I wouldn't get yelled at, but if I use the word hate, look out. Mom was coming after me with a bar of soap to shove it down my mouth. Okay. So that's how much she abhorred that word. So, let's kind of take a step back from all this. Okay. Prepare for stuff. Okay. It's like preparing for your hurricane. Prepare for stuff, but enjoy it, guys. Get out there, have fun. Like on the weekends. And I've told Ron this, okay? Man, I can't tell you the thrill, how much it thrilled me to get the Mini 5 Pro up in the air for the first time. And the same thing with the Mavic 4 Pro. And then, oh my gosh, that RC Pro 2, having that controller, I'm like, okay, I think I've kind of died and gone to heaven. It's controller heaven here. Because it just blew me away how wonderful it was and how easy it was to navigate around that screen and to see it in the sun. I mean, it's just like, wow.
It's basically the big kahuna of controllers or whatever.
It is. It's the mother of all DJI controllers. And then to look at the clarity of it and how crisp and clear it was, even in the sunlight. I mean, it was just amazing. And then the video footage off of it. And I haven't really done.
Yeah, you don't have to go find a tree to stand under or sit far off in your car anymore.
Nope. Well, what I do, it's real interesting. where I fly from, up at our clubhouse. I park the truck 3 spots down from a tree, and the way the tree faces west. So by the time I'm there, okay, I get shade from the tree over to the truck. So where I'm taking off and landing from, for the most part, if my timing's right, it's shady the whole time that I'm there. Now, if I get a little bit later, like say after 11 or so, I kind of lose some of that shade. But if I get there between 9 and 10, it's usually pretty good. So I'm pretty good as far as that's concerned.
Chuck Kovac mentioned in chat that RC2 is a bit awkward to hold, but works great. What I do, Chuck, is I use a lanyard with it almost 99.9% of the time I fly.
I agree with Ron 100% on that, Chuck. That's one of the things that I do as well too.
And you know what, Bill? It is kind of awkward, but no more awkward than the controller for the Phantom 4.
Yeah.
Remember,
That's a good point.
When you had your big tablet on it or whatever, that thing, even with a lanyard, kind of sat awkward.
That was massive. Okay. And I know, like, if I hung it around my neck, I was like, wow, that's a little on the sore side. Okay. If I'm hanging down, I was hanging down there on the Phantom 4 and having a tablet on there too. Yeah, that was a lot to navigate.
Chuck says I use a lanyard, but still awkward. Yeah, I mean, when you're comparing to using the RC-N2 or whatever, sure, it's awkward. That little controller, you go one hand like it's nothing. Yeah, it is awkward compared to that little controller, but the benefits outweigh the awkwardness, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And Chuck, I'm not having any problem with the sticks. I think I'm
not necessarily a pincher either, though, Bill. So I'm not. I mean, I do a little bit of everything. I pinch, I don't pinch, whatever. But I'm not a hardcore pincher, so that doesn't bother me. He liked the RC Pro, the first RC Pro better.
And they were good.
Yeah, but I didn't like, Chuck. I don't like things with the screws below the sticks.
Yeah, I agree with Ron.
I like the screen above the sticks.
Yeah, and I think that was
just personal choice for me. I'm not saying it's better.
Well, I think we've kind of wrapped things up here.
Oh, we're at the 8:58 hour here, Bill.
With the 8:58 hour, and we're reached. And for those of you that are with us, we're going to go ahead and go to Steeler Nation here. Okay.
And it's all sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops in Steeler Nation this week. They knocked off the #1 seed in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts, convincingly, right, Bill?
Well, here's the thing, okay? And this is what I wanted to talk about, and I've been waiting 24 hours to talk about this, okay? Now, everybody knows, they had a stellar defensive game, all right? They had 6 turnovers.
Didn't they hold the league's leading running back for the Colts? Didn't they hold him in check? Like they held him like 50 yards or something?
They held him in check. But the big problem was, from those 6 turnovers, do you know how many points they scored off of them?
You mean how many times the offense took those turnovers and punched it in the end zone?
Or got a field goal? All I got was a field goal from it. Okay.
So zero TDs off.
0 TDs off that. And one of the things that I kind of want to back up a second here. And I heard Aaron Rodgers after the game, and I'll tell you what, I had always kind of been in his corner and a fan and everything, but I became a real fan after hearing his post game. And he said, you know what? I take responsibility for the offense. We did not play well. We should have gotten that ball in the end zone, and that's on me. I was like, wow.
Bill, wow. He does a better post-game interview than the coach does, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Tomlin's there like this after the game, beating his chest like, look at us. Look at how good our defense did. A lot of people didn't look at some of the real nitty-gritty stats. The Colts killed the Steelers on 3rd and 8. When they had 3rd and 8, they almost always got a first down that whole game. All right. Wow. It was not even close as far as that's concerned. All right. And, the whole thing about them getting these turnovers, like I said, you need to convert turnovers to points, Ron. Okay. That's just, football 101. You got to score. If you get the ball, especially you're in Colts territory and you get the ball and you only get 3 points out of 6 turnovers.
And what was it? Was it one of what's his name? Super long field goals or whatever?
Yeah, Boswell. He had
it wasn't even a chip shot. He probably had to really kick it, huh?
Yeah, there were a couple he really had to kick. And now, it was
Hey,
kind of
off the
soft.
Steelers for a second. How about the guy for the Jaguars kicking the 68-yard field goal?
I saw that. Well, and a lot of people say incredible, but you realize too that was in where Vegas plays is indoors. Okay, so there wasn't any wind or rain or elements to interfere with his kick. Basically an air conditioned stadium that he kicked that in, and it would have gone 70 had it been 70. It would. I mean, it looked, as much as I saw the side angle of it, it had plenty of distance. I mean, he could have kicked it from 70 and it would have worked. It would have gone.
Between him and that Cowboys kicker, they're kind of changing the game. You can't even let a team get the ball within 70 yards of the end zone now, right?
Oh yeah.
I cut your thing about the Steelers. You said they weren't capitalizing, they weren't converting any of those turnovers into TDs.
Yeah, they weren't, and Aaron Rodgers owned up to that. Okay, he said, "Look, that is on me. That's my responsibility." All right, and you know what he's done a lot of times, and it's really ticked off Tomlin and Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator. He's called audibles on a lot of these plays. Okay, and almost all the time they've been positive gains or touchdowns.
Well,
all right,
that's nothing new. If you watch them in Green Bay, just like Brady and Manny did it, he's given a playbook. He goes the line, he reads what the defense does, and he calls an audible. That's something that goes way back. Brady, I bet you Brady, he may change the play 10, 12 times in a row because he's analyzing what they're doing up there and making a correction. Why wouldn't you want somebody to do that? I mean, that has the ability to do it.
Yeah. It just hit me like a ton of bricks in a great way. I'm like, you know what? You've got a fan for life, Aaron Rodgers. So the way he was, he said, I know we won, and guys played well today was what he said. But we on the offense need to own up to this. Okay,
right.
We need. And he was and he said, and it starts with me. I'm like, wow, because you'll know what? You'll never hear that from Mike Tomlin ever in a million years.
You do have to give the Steelers credit. They bounced back from a bad loss on the Sunday night game the week before. And speak of that, they were leading Green Bay at halftime on a Sunday night game the week before, and they interviewed Tomlin coming off the field, the field reporter, and Tomlin, he was real kind of confident coming out at halftime, right? But after they fell apart in the second half, man, you didn't see Tomlin after that or whatever. He
skedaddled. He didn't want to have any part of a post game.
That was the second time. I mean, the second game in a row where they tried to do all this man-on-man defense and whatever, and they just couldn't play it. And the announcer keeps saying, "Why don't they go to a zone or whatever?" They think they have these high-priced guys, but obviously they don't have the talent to play man-to-man against the premier receivers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, Joey Porter Jr. Okay. Oh my gosh. It's like I want to beat my head against a brick wall. Okay. Now he did well when he played at Penn State, but now in the NFL, Ron, the only way he stops a receiver is to interfere with him. He gets called at least 2 or 3 times a game.
Would you want Joey Porter and one of these premier receivers one-on-one?
Yeah.
And of course, Green Bay, they don't even have a premier receiver. The tight end, Kraft, he killed you. But the other guys, they throw the ball to it seems like 5, 6 different receivers. So you never really, you don't know who to double up because, they spread the ball around. But no matter who they threw the ball to Sunday night, I mean, they were getting open on the Pittsburgh. They weren't even looking like they weren't making great catches. They were just making just like your practice catches. They were running the route and they got the ball.
Well, what's his name for
the Steelers made Jordan Love look like he was better than Rodgers and Favre put together in Green Bay.
Oh yeah, that second half that was just.
I don't know. Did he miss a pass in that second half? I mean,
I don't think so. I think what's his name? Their tight end caught like maybe 7 or 8 in a row. And what's his name for the Bengals the week before?
Yeah.
He had 17 catches that game, Ron.
On like 23 targets or something like that.
It was insane.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know why is it Tomlin that insists on them doing this man-on-man defense in the secondary?
He gets caught. And see, here's the thing, okay?
And your DC's on the hot seat up there. That Austin, a lot
Austin.
of people
Well, see, Austin is only allowed. Austin has to get permission to go to the bathroom from Tomlin. Okay, that's how much. I mean, literally. I mean, that's how that works in Pittsburgh. Okay, it's just a pure, sincere.
So if he got canned, he's just a scapegoat.
Yeah, he would be a total scapegoat on that. Okay, because Austin can't brush his teeth without Tomlin giving him permission. It's ridiculous. Okay, it's absolutely. Everybody wants to blame Austin for it. Don't blame Austin. Okay. And now the other thing is, and I think I told you this. You know where Austin came from? He was defensive coordinator for the Bengals, and the Bengals fired him. And so Tomlin picks him up. I'm like,
speaking of that, I saw a trade today. The Bengals traded a linebacker to the Cowboys today, right? And they said this guy, he went from the worst defense in the league to the second worst defense in the league. So he didn't get much of an upgrade there. And
he didn't. Yeah, that wasn't.
Cowboys are counting on his help, but they're counting on help from a guy who's on the worst defense in the league.
Now I got to say this before it's remiss. Okay, all right. And apologies to Jay Bird because I know you're a Bengals fan, but oh my gosh, Ron, I literally was laughing so hard. Valerie had to say, "Why are you laughing?" And I told her what happened. I explained to her. She knows she's pretty smart about hockey. She knows hockey pretty well, not so much football. So I had to explain to her what went on. Ron, I busted a gut. I literally busted a gut when the Bears came back and won that game. It was just hilarious. Oh my!
Again, I don't know. Cincinnati's defense. We get upset at Pittsburgh's defense or whatever. I mean, Cincinnati's defense is what do you call like a paper mache defense or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, again, when they beat Pittsburgh, then I don't know what you play Cincinnati. You should just intend to score every time you get the possession, right? Because if you don't, Flacco, he has the ability to score almost every time he gets the ball because of those receivers.
Yeah, because of Chase. I mean, that's pretty much given.
The other guy, what's his? I always get Tyler. The other guys, he's not as good as Chase, but he's Pro Bowler too. Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to say this. Everybody's still like, oh, look at us, look where we're at in the AFC, and I'm like, you know what? Put the brakes on, folks. Guess who came back and played and won last week? Lamar Jackson is back for the Ravens.
Yeah, the Bengals came.
Okay, and the Ravens played pretty well here. And they have yet to play the Ravens. They got to play the Ravens twice. Okay.
Oh, boy.
And then you know who else they have on the schedule coming up? The Bills. Okay.
You saw the Bills take out the Chiefs last Sunday.
Oh yeah. And I said, you know what? Everybody's like, oh yeah, we're back, baby. We're doing it here. I'm like, look at the strength of schedule for the Steelers. Okay. Yeah. Who have they really played in the first half of the year? That was all that great.
Don't have good quarterbacks. I mean, like even the Colts, they have Daniel Jones, who's having a good year statistically, but he came from the Giants where he was run out of town for bad quarterback to play.
Oh yeah, well, the Giants are about as much a mess as the New York Jets.
I think that the Jets have been the worst team in the last 5 years record wise. But I mean, when you get to the playoffs, you're no longer facing the Daniel Joneses of the world and whatever the New York Jets quarterback. You're not facing those ragtag quarterbacks anymore.
You're facing Lamar Jackson. You're facing what's his name from the Bills.
If Flacco lights you up or whatever, well, you better get ready because you're going to see better than that in the playoffs.
Yeah, these people are just like, it blows my mind. I see a lot of these Steeler fans out there. I'll go to the Steelers page and they're all thumping their chest and all this stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, reality check. Okay. We haven't played the second half of the schedule yet. We haven't played the Ravens twice yet. Okay. There's a lot of football left. We got to play the Bills. Hello.
And I remember game one, Bill, when they beat the Jets, and the Steeler fans, it was almost like they had won a playoff game. I mean, the comments out there, people were really feeling good about it, and so on. The new what's his name, Rodgers played well. I mean, they felt so good about it, and you said, hey, put on the brakes here. This is the Jets,
Exactly.
We didn't win the Super Bowl. We didn't win a playoff game. We beat the worst team in football in the past 5 years. And then you said, we needed a 60-yard field goal to even do that.
Yeah, with a minute left. I mean, come on. Well, okay, and I'll never forget watching the game, okay, after the game, Tomlin's doing this and pointing out to the crowd, the Steeler fans, and doing this, thumping his chest and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, there's your problem, folks. Okay, there's your problem. All right. I mean, Ron, you never saw Bill Cowher do that kind of stuff. Okay. You never saw Chuck Noll do that kind of stuff. All right. He would get after his players, and so would Noll. Okay. But you never saw either Cowher or Tomlin.
The good
go
coaches,
after
even
like
after
that.
a big win, the good coaches still have nitpick things.
Oh, yeah.
Did this
Cowher
better?
would say,
Did that
yeah,
better?
Cowher
Yeah.
would still call people
never
out even after a
satisfied.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Noll would too. They wouldn't hesitate about that stuff. Well, that's why Bradshaw and Noll, they really didn't talk. They really didn't get along well outside of football because of that. Okay, because he criticized Bradshaw a lot for the way.
Well, you remember in Bradshaw's early year, his play was real erratic, and Chuck Noll, being what do you call that tough love, basically turned him into the Hall of Famer he turned out to be.
Oh yeah, it worked, and it worked. And see, that's the thing. Okay, Tomlin is everybody's friend. Okay, he's everybody's pal. He's everybody's friend. Okay, and I tell you what, that was the fall. That was Le'Veon Bell. That's the reason he collapsed. Had he had a strong head coach, okay, he'd have talked him into staying, okay. And they were on the cusp of being able to get to another Super Bowl when Le'Veon Bell was playing with them in his prime. Okay, they were that close to doing it, and it fell apart. The other one, well, Antonio Brown, I think when he got hit in that playoff game in Cincinnati, I think he suffered a brain injury. I really do, because he hasn't been right since then. Unfortunately, I kind of feel bad for him.
More recently, Pickens is one of the, he's top 5 in the league in yards or whatever. He needed that Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll would have given that tough love or whatever. He may have made him a player over there, but he got over to Dallas, and that CC Lamb took him under his wing, and basically you set expectations for him,
and that's what he needed,
and led by example. You know what I mean? Like, so, and now he's going to hit the free agent market, and he's going to get a lot of money someday, Bill.
Exactly. So this is where we're at for Steeler Nation.
Who do the Steelers have coming up this weekend?
Gosh, I saw and I forget. It slipped my mind. I saw.
Is it a tough team, or is it another?
I don't know, Ron.
Well, they kind of reset the whole AFC. Them giving the Colts that loss kind of reset things in the AFC a little bit now. The crowd, but a lot of people called up a game now.
Well, you know what? And you know what's interesting? I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was DraftKings or whatever. They were picking people who are going to go to the playoffs in the AFC, and they picked Baltimore over Pittsburgh. All right.
Wow. You saw there were a bunch of trades today. I mean, trades today, and Sauce Gardner, who's considered one of the top corners in the AFC, he got traded to somebody. Who was it, Bill? He got traded to a contender. I mean, the Jets were really selling today. The Jets traded one of their best defensive linemen, the Cowboys. The Jets were sellers today. The Cowboys were buyers. The Eagles have been buyers. The Eagles made a couple trades. Over the last couple of days. So you see who the buyers and sellers are, Bill.
Well, yeah. Well, everybody was saying Omar Khan's going to work his magic. I said that man has not worked any magic. Okay?
I mean, I didn't hear them making any deals today.
Nope, they didn't. And, thank God, because, if they needed to do anything, they needed to sell. They need to get rid of stuff. And, they're a mess. So,
they probably don't have a payroll to bring anything more to defense, because they spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the ball anyways.
Yep, exactly. So, any final thoughts here before we wrap things up, Ron?
No, just been an interesting, week with the Action 6, teaser coming out, and we know that's coming for sure now, and hopefully we'll see it in the U.S. Again, I still never saw that got FCC approval, but you said. But I think Action cameras have got FCC approval in the past, so I'm confused about all that. So we'll see what happens. And of course, we're all waiting for the the Neo 2 to go on sale from our favorite eBayers in South Korea, Japan, and China, whatever, so we can get a hold of that thing. But otherwise, I flew a job today up in LBI. It was a little windy, but I got it done. Luckily the Air 3 has held its own in the heavy wind. But what about you, Bill? You got anything going on?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to fly this past weekend. Saturday, we're going up to visit my mother-in-law. It's her birthday's next on Veterans Day on the 11th, so we're going to take her out for lunch this Saturday. It's been a while since I've seen her. It'll be good to go visit. She now lives with Valerie's sister about an hour away, so I'm looking forward to that. And then Sunday, I'm going to go out and do some flying with the Mini 5 Pro and with the Mavic 4 Pro, and I'm going to kind of do what I call a stress test video. Really kind of max it out and trying to bring it back when the battery's maybe about 30%. So I want to do a bunch of stuff, maybe do some hyperlapses, some quick shots, master shots, point of interest, that kind of thing. Just mix it up to see how the drone handles that and see what the runtime is going to be from as close to 100% as possible. And do that with
some of these recent updates have messed up the precision landing for especially the Mini 5 Pros. You may want to test that out too, Bill.
That's true. Although mine, Ron, I did do an IMU calibration before I took it out, and it was perfect. I haven't had any problems with it. So
yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's hit or miss. I haven't tested it recently, but I had no problems. A couple weeks ago. So yeah, folks, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Good crowd, good comments, good questions.
Yes, absolutely. You guys did great. Again, thanks to Johnny and Ray for last week. You guys did stellar effort. Always a pleasure to have you guys on. You guys are always top notch. Enjoy you guys at all. Always a pleasure to have Mr. Ron Brown sitting next to me on Tuesday nights here as well too. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your drones. Have fun. And as always, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.